Happy afternoon, students. All right, welcome to RGR Academy. This is biology session. I hope you're all safe at home and you're doing enough and sufficient practice at home. Am I right? Or you're all doing sufficient practice at home? So now the voice is clear and audible for all of you. Right? Okay. So let us begin with today's session. Before we going with the second part of this ecology, the first chapter, that is organisms and its interactions, the environment, that we have completed already. That is like two parts that we have discussed before. We're done with the first part. The second part, where we have ecology, then biodiversity, the environmental issues. These three chapters that we're going to club together, and we're going to discuss, and together we consolidate together, and we're going to discuss today and try to complete this particular the three chapters in full short by today itself. So this 1.5 hour session. So before we go to this chapter, let us have the quick recap of what we discussed before in the previous classes. The previous classes we discussed about the organisms and its environment, the factors which are responsible for the interaction of the organisms, interspecific interaction, where we discussed about commensalism, amensalism, proto-cooperation, parasitism, predation, habitat, niche. These are the some of the areas, and also we discussed about camouflage. This we discussed, right? So with that, we move to the next part, that is biodiversity, ecosystem, and that is next, the last one is environmental issues. Before we'll give like, and I'll just give a small anecdote. Here you could see on the board, like, the story of your life. Sometimes you may have like, what is my value? Sometimes you don't know your value, guys, right? You're all here to, you have the goal in your mind to reach your destination. You all want to become a doctor. You want to get the medical seat. I just give a small anecdote. Okay. One boy went to his father with a small stone. And the boy asked the father, what I can do with the stone. The boy said, you just take the stone and go to the market, and you don't speak anything. If anyone asks about the stone, you just show your two fingers. Then the boy said, okay, dad, I'll go. This boy went to the market and just shown that, that stone. And one lady, old lady, she came and she asked me, like, what is in her hand? The stone. And what is the cost of the stone? She asked. The old lady asked the small boy. Then boy showed his two fingers. Then she said, okay, it's $2. Okay, I'm ready to give $2. And she gave the $2, and she collected the stone from the boy. Then very happily the boy came to his dad again, and the boy told him to the dad, stating like, dad, I got $2 for this particular stone. Then again what the dad said, now you take a stone, you go to the museum. The boy again, like, took the words from the dad. He went to the museum, and there was one old man with actually the hat and big coat and everything, right? And the man asked actually, so what is in a hand? This boy showed that actually the stone, but he didn't open his mouth. And here also he just showed his two fingers. Then the old man accepted, okay, I'll give $200 for this particular stone. The boy was very happy. I didn't even open my mouth, right? I didn't open my mouth, but the man accepted to give $200 for this particular stone. Very happily the boy came again, right, to his father and said, dad, I got $200 for this. Then the dad said again, now you take the stone, you go to the precious stone shop, right? Again you do the same thing. If someone asks you, like, just show only your two fingers, right? That boy said, okay, he went again there, he just shown that stone to the stone shop, the precious stone shop. He just, those fellow asked, like, what is in a hand? The boy shown that stone, right? He shown his two fingers, and the people said, like, I'm ready to give, well, $2,000 for this one. The boy was very happy. Again, he just came back to his father and said, dad, I got 200, $2,000 for this particular stone. Now the dad said, this is what your value is all about. Where you are placing yourself. Whether you're going to place it in yourself, like in a market, you're going to place it in a museum, or you're going to place it in a precious shop. So guys, I'm telling you, first you understand what is your value, right? Many of you, like, you're not estimating, you're not understanding your value. You're all born become to your doctors, right? You know what is your value, right? So many of the times, like, we are acting like commodity for many people. We are like, acting like for care and support for other people. So understand what is your value, whether you're going to place yourself in the precious shop, whether you're going to place it as if like it's in a market. Are you worth of $2, or you're worth of like, $200, or you're worth of $2,000, that you're going to decide, right? So understand the value of you people, and march towards it. You reach the destination, right? So this is a small anecdote. So with this, we'll start with today's part, right? Guys, we have another 40 days of time. So make use of this 40 days of time. Do essential practice, because you're worthy of it. You are worthy of it, right? Don't underestimate yourself. You have all the inner potential. You have all the inner abilities in you, right? So having this in your mind, right? So don't underestimate yourself like I'm just worth for only $2. I'm not worthy for anything. Don't have this type of opinion in you. Let the positive attitude prevails in you. You can do wonders, as the boy that took the stone and went into the precious stone shop, where it's more than that, right? So you need not do anything. You did not showcase yourself, but your action prove it, right? What is your action? The next 40 days, what are the actions that you're going to do it? That automatically prove, right? You're worthy of it, right? What is the destination? You want to become a doctor? How you can prove it? You can prove that you're worthy of it by just doing this 40 days of the work, right? By this, I'm motivating all you guys, like, make use of this 40 days of time. So definitely, like, what is the value. So I need not come and tell you. I need not tell you what is your value. You know pretty well what is your value. Understand it, right? Understand the value of you people, like, march towards it. Make use of this 40 days of time. Definitely you reach the destination. With this, we'll start with the next part, that is the continuation of biology. All right, guys. So motivate yourself. Have the inner spirit, like, always, like, beef up, always stimulated, always have full of energy, the confidence and courage in you, stating like, I'm worthy of doing it. I'm worthy of to become a doctor. Don't have like any negative thoughts creeping in your mind. Always filled with the positive attitude in you, right? Definitely one point of time, like, you succeed. Just 40 days of time. This 40 days of time, how much of the work that you're going to invest, that prove, like, eventually you come out of the flying colors. I wish you all success, guys. So please stay tuned. Make use of this time. All right, we'll start with this. Yeah, you have become doctors because you worthy of it. We tell like you worthy to become a doctors. Definitely you'll become a doctors. So I wish you all success. All right, guys. We'll start with today's session. We'll start with the next three chapters, that is ecosystem, biodiversity, and environmental issues. Together we complete by today. Once we're done, tomorrow we'll start with reproduction. We'll start with the reproduction in organisms and sexual reproduction in flowering plants. That is the next part that we're going to discuss. All right. So today we'll try to complete this particular chapter. And I request you guys, please pay attention. So whenever the class is going on, like, please pay your fullest attention. So interact. So we'll interact. If you have any queries or doubts, I'm happy to assist you then and there. So we'll have like interactive session, so that we'll discuss and we try to clarify all your doubts. All right. So we'll do it. So with your fullest cooperations, we'll do it. Pay attention. So we march towards success. Can we? Yes, we can do it. All right. Thank you so much. We'll start with today's part. That is 1 second. We start with biodiversity. Yes. So first we'll start with ecosystem. Okay, guys. I hope it's clear for you. So avoid unnecessary interactions or chats like related to the chapter, related to the subject we'll discuss. Okay, guys. Fine. We'll start with the ecosystem structure and function. Coming to the ecosystem, can you someone tell me who coined the term? Okay. So we'll pray God, like, there should not be lockdown. We very soon we should come out of this the lockdown, like the catastrophic situation. இதுல இருந்து சீக்கிரம் நம்ம மீண்டு வரணும்ன்றதுதான் நம்ம we all wishing for it, right? Definitely we'll just come out of it. Very soon we'll come out of it. Okay, fine. We'll very soon we'll come out of it. I'll let you know, like, maybe the authorities, they will let you know whether we'll be having classes in the lockdown session. All right. So we'll start with this part. Who proposed ecosystem? Can someone tell me who coined the term ecosystem? Who coined the term ecosystem? Ecosystem. So because the person who, yeah, in the ecosystem, the first the term on the coin panadu. What's the name of the person? We have the Tansley, right? And Odom, right? So these people's, like, when sometimes the questions come, who coined the term ecosystem? So now we're going to discuss about this particular chapter, ecosystem. Tansley is the correct answer. So Tansley is the person first proposed or coined the term ecosystem. So first we discuss about the ecosystem. Ecosystem which consists of two important factors, biotic factors and abiotic factors, right? And mainly the ecosystem, like which can be classified into two. One is aquatic ecosystem, other one is terrestrial ecosystem. Two types of periclam. One on the aquatic ecosystem, another on the terrestrial ecosystem. Coming to the biotic components, the biotic components which consist of three important parts. What are the three parts here? The producers. This is not the very tough part, right? From chinna middle school, lower class, you are studying this one, right? Just an introduction. Producers, consumers, and we have decomposers. We have a decomposer. As far as the producers are concerned, these organisms which produce foods of its own, examples of plants, right, which is called it as converters, or we call it as transducers, because it takes actually the sunlight, which takes the sunlight and this converting the energy. So the plants, we call it as producers, we call it as converters or transducers, which are all producers. Next comes consumer. What is consumer? The organisms which consumes the food synthesized by the producers. Producers produce பண்ண food consume பண்றது பேரு consumers. The consumers எத்தனை types இருக்கு? We have four types of consumer. We have the primary consumer, secondary consumer, tertiary consumer, and we have a quaternary consumer. Okay, this is the new chapter. We're talking about the second, that is ecology. Ecology is this is the new chapter that we are discussing now. Okay, so primary, that is primary consumers can be otherwise called as herbivore. Example for herbivore: insects, rodents, and we have the rabbit. We have a rabbitoria, and we have deer, cow, buffalo, goat. These are some of the examples for herbivores, right? This is the primary consumer. Secondary consumers are called as carnivores. Carnivores which feeds on the primary consumer. Example: sparrow, crow, fox, dogs, cats. These are some of the examples which comes under the carnivores. What are the secondary consumers? The secondary consumers which feeds on the primary consumers. Then we have the tertiary consumers, that we have, like, wolf. That wolf which is eating upon the fox, this we call it as the tertiary consumers. We have a quaternary consumers. This usually which is not killed or eaten by other animals, like, this is the topmost of the consumers, that you could see an example like, lion, tiger, vultures. These are all some of the examples that you could see as a quaternary consumers. So like this, we have the four types of consumers, namely herbivores, carnivores, tertiary consumers, and we have a quaternary consumer. The chapter name is ecology. That is, this is ecosystem. With the chapter is ecosystem we are discussing here. Okay, then decomposer. This is acted usually by, mainly playing important role in decomposition. So decomposition நடக்கலன்னா என்ன ஆகும்? So if the decomposers are not playing a very important role, the animals that eats both plants and animals, it termed as, what's an omnivores? We call it as an omnivores, which we eat both, animals சாப்பிடுது, plants சாப்பிடுது. What that is, we call it as the animal that eats both plants and animals is termed as, what is the name that we'll give for it? It's the omnivores. We call it as omnivores. Say like an example, you take a cockroach. This is a classical example. We take it as an omnivores. Human beings, we just eat plants as well as we eat like animal flesh also. We even comes under omnivores. So the animal that eats both plant and animal, the crow you can take, the scavengers you take, right? So this humans also, this comes under omnivores. So this is the first part, the decomposers. If the decomposition organisms like bacteria, fungi, which is not there, then definitely what will happen? All the substances which will be clubbed, and it will be all clubbed together, and this will be on some point of time will be piled up, and we cannot live in this world, because decomposers, a decomposition which plays a very important role. Okay, now we'll move on to the next part, that is the food chain. This is a very fundamental thing that I'm showing this to you. The food chains, we have the trophic levels. What do you mean by the trophic level? The sequence of living organisms, in an ecosystem in which one organism consumes another organism to transfer the food energy. For example, you take from the grass it takes to the primary consumer. Just now I discussed like primary consumer is goes to the secondary consumer, say like a sparrow. From secondary it goes to the tertiary consumer, example like snake you can take, and from it goes to the owl, where you could see maybe like a predator, and all these things again which come back to the same producers by means of இது செத்து இது ஒரு வழியில ஒரு இடத்துல சாகும்போது என்ன ஆகும், again it will get decomposed. The decomposed material again by the action of bacteria and fungi திருப்பி வந்து எங்க தான் வந்தாகும், திருப்பி அந்த சாயிலுக்கு தான் வரணும். சாயில இருந்து வந்தது மண்ணுல இருந்து ஆரம்பிச்சது திருப்பி எங்க தான் திரும்பி வரணும், திரும்பி again it will be coming back to the soil. Again the cycle will get again it's circulated. Here the decomposers will come here. Again, this will be taken by the producers. So the food will become the chain like structure which will be formed. So this is called as food chain. Sometimes there will be inter-network also which occurs that we would have discussed like a food web. So each and every organisms have its own level. Certain organism will be in a primary level, while some organisms will be in a secondary, some will be like in a tertiary. So this level of like in a particular ecosystem, we call it as a what we call it as a trophic level, and the energy which will be flow from the lower level to the higher level. The vertically what will happen, this if you see the pyramid பார்க்கும்போது எப்படி இருக்கும், producers la irundhu primary la irundhu secondary la irundhu you go to the tertiary la irundhu you'll go to the quaternary, where the flow of energy which occurs from the producers which will go to the top level, the vertical distribution of energy. What is this process called? This process is called as stratification. This process we call it as stratification. This you would have studied in the textbook. Stratification is the vertical distribution. The vertical distribution of what? The vertical distribution of the organisms at different levels. At different levels, distribution where the flow of energy will takes from the lower level to the higher level. This we call it as stratification. All right, guys. So this is about the food chain. Now, components of ecosystem. When we talk about the components of ecosystem, these are the four important components. What are the four important components here? In the chapter liye mottame indha nalu pathi dhaan we going to discuss. Bro, detail discuss panna poradhu indha nalu pathi mattum dhaan. What are the four things that we're going to discuss in this chapter? The ecosystem. We're going to discuss about productivity. First, we'll discuss about productivity. Next, we discuss about decomposition. Then energy flow. The fourth one is nutrient cycle. So national, yeah. So productivity, decomposition, energy flow, and we have a nutrient cycling. These are the four things that you could see the components of ecosystem. First, what is productivity? Productivity, where you could see the rate at which the radiant energy is fixed in the form of organic food due to photosynthetic and chemosynthetic activity of the producers. How actually the sunlight, by means of the sunlight, what happened, the photosynthesis is going to take place. This you would have studied like PAR. What PAR stands for? Photosynthetically active radiation. So this, by means of this radiation, the energy is going to get consumed by the sun from the sunlight, and this is going to get absorbed by the plant, where the process of photosynthesis is going to take place, where the productivity is going to take place. The productivity is going to take place by the activity of the producers. Who are the producers here? The plants here act as a producers. So this first component of the ecosystem, the plants எல்லாம் இல்லாம போயிடுச்சு அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா, the foundation, the bottom of the food chain எது எடுத்தாலும் producer தான். Plants அந்த இடத்துல இல்லைன்னா, producers இல்லைன்னா, it will be affecting like the other trophic levels of the ecosystems. Always plants, the producers are playing very important role for the productivity. This is the first component. Second component is decomposition. I'm just giving only the definition. We're going to discuss in detail about all these things. Decomposition. What is a decomposition? It's a breakdown of what? Breakdown of complex organic matter into the inorganic substances like carbon dioxide, nutrients, and water. Now the decomposers which come to the picture, what this will do, complex organic matter enna pannum kettinga, this will be converted to inorganic substance. Eventually enna avum carbon dioxide avum, nutrients avum, water avum convert pannum, right? So this we call it as decomposition. This will takes place in the help of bacteria, fungi, in the mari microorganisms மூலமா இது நடக்கும். Fine. Energy flow. The flow of energy from one trophic level to the another trophic level. This just now we discussed. Producer la irundhu primary consumer, primary la irundhu secondary la irundhu tertiary la irundhu quaternary. Like this, energy will be flow. Sunlight la irundhu எடுத்த அந்த எனர்ஜி என்ன ஆகும் கேட்டிங்கன்னா, அந்த 2 to 10% of அந்த எனர்ஜி எடுக்கும் பொழுது from the plants this will be moving to the next level, from primary la irundhu secondary. So what will happen, the flow of energy which will be moving always from one level to the other level, from one trophic level to the other tropic level. The synthesis of the chemicals actually. Chemosynthetic means sometimes it synthesizes chemical substances, right? So the flow of energy is unidirectional. இது வந்து நம்ம எப்போ படிப்போம் கேட்டீங்கன்னா pyramid of energy நம்ம படிப்போம். மூணு type of pyramids நம்ம படிப்போம். அந்த டைம்ல we'll discuss about the flow of energy. The flow of energy is always unidirectional. அப்படின்னா இங்க ப்ரொடியூசர் இருக்கு, ப்ரொடியூசர் கிட்ட இருந்து மேல போகும்போது மேலதான் போயிட்டே இருக்குமே தவிர திருப்பி என்ன வர்றது கீழே இறங்காது. this flow will not again will come down. Always it is like unidirectional. This is 10% law. This is also we call it as 10% law. 10% on now it will get update. It will be get keep on like substantially. It will get move from one tropic level to the other tropic level. So always that is the reason we tell like the pyramid, that is a pyramid of energy is always upright. It mostly often you get the question. மூணு டைப் ஆஃப் நம்ம பிரமிட்ஸ் படிக்க போறோம். பிரமிட் ஆஃப் பயோமாஸ் படிப்போம், பிரமிட் ஆஃப் நம்பர்ஸ் படிப்போம், பிரமிட் ஆஃப் எனர்ஜி படிப்போம். these three pyramids will discuss. இந்த மூணு பிரமிட்ல வந்து பிரமிட் ஆஃப் எனர்ஜி is always upright. எப்பயுமே மேல் நோக்கி தான் போகுமே தவிர கீழே வராது. so it's always upright. which pyramid of energy is always upright. It is unidirectional and the 10% law it's applicable for the pyramid of energy. So this you should keep it in your mind. So this is the third part, the flow of energy from the one tropic level to the other tropic level. இங்க நீங்க remember பண்ணிக்க வேண்டியது unidirectional remember பண்ணிக்கணும். And the Raymond, as you exactly the Priyanka said, like Raymond Linderman in the year 1942, he just proclaimed 10% law, right? The last one is the nutrient cycling, movement of the nutrient elements through the various components of an ecosystem. You study the gaseous cycles and the sediment cycle. There are two types of cycles we have. Gaseous cycle இருக்கு, sediment cycle. இதுல வந்து carbon cycle படிப்பீங்க, phosphorus cycle, we have sulfur cycle. இந்த மாதிரி different types of cycle that we'll be having, right? So we'll be discussing two types of cycle, gaseous cycle and the phosphorus cycle at the end of this chapter. So in this chapter, there are four components of ecosystem: productivity, decomposition, energy flow, and we have a nutrient cycling. Now you could see this is how actually the events which takes place in the decomposition. Can you see the events of decomposition? Every decomposition நடக்குது. Where you could see the events of decomposition. A tree that grows in the soil, tree வளருது, treeல இருந்து ஒரு சின்ன இலை வந்து which gets withered off. The senescence periodல இலை கீழே விழுது. Then what happens? Some are eaten by insect and other animals. Nutrient energy which is entering into what? Which is getting entered into the food web க்கு போகுது. Then again what happens? Some nutrients like leach into the soil by means of chemical action, humification மூலமாவோ இல்ல mineralization மூலமாவோ இந்த மாதிரி catabolism reaction மூலமாவோ what is happening? Again it's coming back to what? It's coming back to the soil again. Then the soil will become organic, it will become fertile again. So this will become organic rich soil. Again what happens further in the soil air, in the earthworms, in the bacteria, fungi, again they start decomposing. Again this what will happen, the whatever how much of the matters whatever the minerals which has been accumulated, that is again which will be consumed by the plants. Again the nutrients which will be again get recycled, which will be taken up by the plants. Plant கிட்ட விழுந்துறது, again it's getting decomposed ஆகி வர organic matter, it will be converted to the nutrients. This nutrients again is going to taken up by what? Taken by the what? By the tree itself. So this is again the cycle which is going to take place, the decomposition. For example, the decomposition is not taking place. Decomposition நடக்கல அப்படின்னா என்ன நடக்கும்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா இந்த பாக்டீரியா இல்ல earthworm இல்ல fungi எதுமே this all it's not performing decomposition. Can you tell me like what happened if the decomposition it's not taking place? என்ன நடக்கும்? Can someone tell me, sir, decomposition நடக்க மாட்டேங்குது, இந்த ப்ராசஸே இல்ல, இந்த ப்ராசஸ் நம்ம ecosystemலயே நடக்க மாட்டேங்குது, நம்மளுடைய இது எங்க இதுலயும் நடக்கல அப்படின்னா what will happen? Everything, whatever the wastages which is coming out, maybe the plants or animals, whatever it might be, dead bodies, the corpses, dead plants or dead animals, whatever it might be, the all cycle gets stopped. Then what happened? One point of time ella settu pona நம்ம ecosystem எப்படி கிடக்கும்? It starts stink and we cannot come out of it. And what happens like நடக்கிற பாதையில எப்படி இருக்கும்? All the decomposed materials will get accumulated and piled up, and this will cause deleterious like effects. Many organisms, the pathogenic organisms will start multiply, and many type of diseases will start outbreaks, and people will die out of it. So we should be very thankful. We should be very thankful for this decomposing microorganisms. Everything will get collapsed. So who is maintaining the level, correct on the cycle, correct on ecosystem maintain பண்ணி ஒரு proper form க்கு கொண்டு வரது யாருன்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா what will happen? this decomposes, which most of the time நம்ம என்ன பண்ண மாட்டோம்னா decomposes வந்து பெரிய இதுவா நம்ம எடுத்துக்க மாட்டோம். Because when you talk about the pyramidல கூட நீங்க ட்ராபிக் லெவல்ல வந்து decomposes ஒரு முக்கியமான இடத்தை கொடுத்துருக்க மாட்டாங்க. But even though the decomposers are playing a very important role, but without the help of the decomposing organisms, maybe the earthworm or maybe a bacteria, or maybe you take fungi, filamentous fungi, the soil organisms, if these things are not doing its work properly, then definitely like we cannot live properly, நம்மளால peaceful இருக்க முடியாது. Then again the diversity will not take place, the nutrient cycling will not take place, everything will get collapsed and will get stopped at one point of time. So the credit goes to, right, decomposes. Yes, of course glass also will be decomposed on a rate of decomposition தான் ரொம்ப டைம் எடுக்கும். glass decompose, plastics, சில types of plastics also get decomposed, but polyvinyl plastics compare பண்ணும்போது வேற சில type of plastics போடும்போது it takes more time, actually more time when compared to electronic waste. If you take decomposition நடக்கும், but the rate of decomposition always which takes like 2 years நடக்கிறது maybe like 25 years ஆகும் sometimes, like சின்ன piece of like the glass bottle to get decomposed. So that is what actually like it has to recycle, reduce and reuse. இந்த 3R concept படிச்சிருப்பீங்க, recycle, reduce, இந்த மாதிரி கான்செப்ட் மூலமா e-waste electronic waste, உங்களோட கம்ப்யூட்டர் கேட்ஜெட்ஸ் இதெல்லாம் என்ன பண்ணணும்னு கேட்டா which has to be recycled. சும்மா நீங்க சிடி யூஸ் பண்றீங்க, ஒரு பென் டிரைவ் யூஸ் பண்றீங்க, இல்ல கம்ப்யூட்டர் ப்ராடக்ட்ஸ் யூஸ் பண்றீங்க, ரைட்? So this will not be thrown as such. நமக்கு மண்ணில் போட்டுறோம், மண்ணில் போய் புதஞ்ச பிறகு you need to think about how these organisms decompose. அதனால தான் நம்ம என்ன பண்றோம், biodegradable waste, non biodegradable waste, electronic waste, இந்த மாதிரி பக்கெட்ஸ் இந்த கலர் கொடுத்துருப்பாங்க பார்த்திருப்பீங்க, ரெட் கலர்ல, கிரீன் கலர்ல, yellow கலர்ல. You would have seen the different colors, like மக்ன குப்பைகள், மக்காத குப்பைகள், இந்த மாதிரி like இந்த மாதிரி பிரிக்கிறாங்க. எதுக்காக பிரிக்கிறாங்கன்னா to support what, to support the ecosystem. We supposed to do it. இந்த வேலையை வந்து நம்ம என்ன பண்ணிடுறோம், எல்லாத்தையும் பிளாஸ்டிக் எல்லாத்தையும் சுத்தி குப்பையில போடும்போது என்ன ஆகுனா, it's a headache for the decomposers. It couldn't decompose. என்ன பண்ணும், it couldn't decompose the plastics. It will be there in a soil for a long span of time. Then definitely like it will be affecting the fertility of the soil, and this will not allow the functioning of the decomposers which present in the soil. So it is our responsibility to segregate the type of waste before we just throwing out something in the garbage. So this is our responsibility. Okay, sometimes like it takes many years back, 500 years that you said, 1 centimeter, as you said, Arishma, ஒரு soil layer, ஒரு table மேல, ஒரு table of like ஒரு பூமி மேல ஒரு centimeter of like ஒரு soil form பண்றதுக்கு வந்து it takes 500 years ன்றாங்க. Like for example, you take 350 to 500 years, exactly 300 to 50 years ஒரு layer of soil form ஆகிறதுக்கு இவ்வளவு டைம் ஆகும்னு நினைச்சீங்கன்னா நம்ம என்ன பண்றோம், we are not making use of it. We don't know how to like make use of the natural resources that we are doing it. We must first try to appreciate, we must know the value of the ecosystem. நம்ம உயிர் வாழக்கூடிய இந்த இடத்துல நம்ம ecosystem, நம்ம இருக்கிற இடத்தை, நம்மளுடைய சூழ்நிலை, சுற்றுச்சூழலை வந்து நம்ம வந்து ஒழுங்கா பாதுகாக்க, நம்ம சரியா பயன்படுத்திக்க தெரியணும். If else like that will not happen, then one point of time nature will start acting, taking revenge against that people. அது நம்மளால தாங்கவே முடியாது. Who can act against the nature? So we should be very careful and extra cautious as far as the nature is concerned. Okay, so this is about decomposition. அதனால in case in future நீங்க சாக்லேட் சாப்பிடுறீங்க, ஏதாவது பண்றீங்கன்னா குப்பையை just like போடக்கூடாதுன்னு எதுக்கு நாங்க சொல்றோம், ரோட்ல போடக்கூடாதுன்னு சொல்றோம்னா, போடுற இடத்துல we should be very careful, because eventually where it will go to the soil. மண்ணுக்குள்ள போகும்பொழுது பிளாஸ்டிக் பேக்கோ இல்ல பிளாஸ்டிக் கவரோ என்ன இது ஃப்ரூட் பேக், டெட்ரா பேக் சாப்பிடுறீங்க, சாப்பிட்டு தூக்கி ஜஸ்ட் லைக் தட் போடும்பொழுது, ஜஸ்ட் இமேஜின் நீங்க அதை போடும்பொழுது அந்த மண்ணுல என்ன நடக்கும், நீங்க அதை போட்டுட்டு போயிடுவீங்க, பட் லேட்டர் பாயிண்ட் ஆஃப் டைம் what will happen, it dumped inside the soil. It takes so much of time for it's a headache for this decomposers to decompose that particular thing actually. So it is our responsibility. We human beings பாதி டேமேஜ் யார் தான் பண்றோம்னா நம்ம தான் பண்றோம், ஹியூமன்ஸ் தான் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கோம். நம்ம என்ன பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கோம், we are damaging the ecosystem, and later part கஷ்டமும் யாருக்கு தான் வருது, we are going to get affected. So please be very careful. We must know to segregate, right? We must segregate. And of course you take plastics. இன்னைக்கு அந்த காலத்துல வந்து மாடுங்க புல்ல தின்னுச்சு, இன்னைக்கு பாத்தீங்கன்னா மாடுங்க என்ன சாப்பிட்டு இருக்கு, the cows are eating the posters சாப்பிடுறது, it's eating the plastics. It's a pathetic conditions what we are living. It's actually like tin bottles can be decomposed. This again, the rate of decomposition only varies. That is actually the matter, but it takes so many years to get decomposed, right? You just make use of this. Then we come to the energy flow. As far as the energy flow is concerned, right, So energy flow is concerned, that is like less than 50%, 50% from the sunlight. Sunlight learner we're getting the energy, right? How we are getting the energy? Energy we're getting from the sunlight. There is less than 50% of energy. PAR. What is PAR stands for? Right? PAR stands for photosynthetically active radiation. This we call it as PAR. This is one question you get. Photosynthetically active radiation. This will get from the incident solar radiation from the sunlight. This is less than 50% of this radiation, the photos PAR, this will be received by the plant, on which out of the 50%, less than 50%, where the plant fix only takes up only to 2 to 10%. This is very important. When sometimes they'll ask the question, what is the percentage where the plant takes up? That is only 2 to 10%, but it's using up. But how much of like energy which is coming from the sunlight? That is less than 50%. So two type of answers that you should be very careful in this place. Where less than 50%, that is a photosynthetically active radiation. This is from the incident solar radiation where the plants will take up. The plants is going to make use of it only the 2 to 10% of photosynthetically active radiation, which passes to the entire living kingdom. Okay, so this will be going to the two type of food chains. So what are the two types of food chain? We have the DFCs and GFC, right? DFC means detritus food chain, and GFC means grazing food chain. You must know the difference between DFC and GFC. What is the DFC? Detritus is waste or decomposing materials that we call it as detritus food chain. So DFC, detritus food chain, begins with the dead organic matter. Usually this we call it as saprophytes or saprotrophs. This usually which occurs in the temperate forest. Mostly in the temperate forest, this will occur. But here the decomposition, I mean the cycle with the chain which begins from what? Decomposed material in the that is what very important with the detritus food chain. It begins with what? Begins with the dead organic matter. In the chain that chain we call it as detritus food chain. Grazing food chain which starts from the green plants, that is living green plants. This starts with the living green plants. DFC which starts with the dead organic matter. Mostly the nature follows only the grazing food chain. Okay, detritus food chain, you could see like an earthworm, the sparrow, exactly the rubina. You given the correct answers. The grazing food chains means where you could see source of energy is a sun. Plant level like consumers it be going on. But in the DFC where it's not sun is not playing very important role. Here the dead organic matter which plays a very important role. Here you could see the trophic level, the specific place of the organisms in the food chain. As I already told you, some be like producers, some will be like primary consumers, some is secondary. Over food chain, each and every one where everything will take its own position. So this is called a trophic level. What is standing crop? Standing crop means what? Each trophic level has certain mass of living materials at a particular time. And over trophic level, what happens like, it will be having a mass of the living materials which could see in the particular level. You would a type of like, for example, the cow, you would a type of, for example, and that grass, you would a type of banyan tree, and the ecosystem, it's the number of species which has been accumulated. The certain mass of the living material at the particular time, and the குறிப்பிட்ட நேரத்துக்குள்ள அந்த ecosystemல இத்தனை type of organisms அந்த இடத்துல இருந்துச்சு. அது நம்ம என்ன சொல்லுவோம்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா, we call it as standing crop. This is measured as what? This is measured as a biomass. Okay, guys. So this is about the energy flow. Then comes to productivity. So productivity, primary productivity, secondary productivity. What makes the difference between these two? Primary productivity is the amount of biomass or organic matter produced per unit area over a time period by photosynthesis by the plants where you could see, right? The first production takes place by means of the plants. This we call it as primary production. By means of photosynthesis, primary production takes place. The producers, where the rate of biomass production is called as productivity. What is the productivity? The rate of biomass, how the biomass, at the rate at which the biomass takes place, this we call it as an productivity. Idhula rendu type of productivity irukku, GPP and NPP. What GPP stands for? Gross primary productivity. NPP stands for net primary productivity. What is the gross primary productivity? Consume the plants which is taking completely from the sunlight, completely edukum, that is called as gross primary productivity. எடுத்த அந்த particular like for energy வந்து the plants which will be using for the respiration, right? So எடுத்த for example 100% எடுத்திருக்கு, 100%ல வந்து respiration for example 20% போயிடுச்சு. அந்த 20% போன பிறகு the remaining 100 minus 20 that will become a net primary productivity. This is like the salary. For example, your father is getting the salary of like 30,000. 30,000 after like deductions for example the 4,000 deduction remaining like for example how much your dad get, like you get 26,000. The 26,000 that will become the, you could see the net salary, but the gross is 30,000. The same way the amount of energy completely received by the plant, motta energy received பண்ணது எவ்வளவு, that is gross primary productivity. The rate of production of organic matter by the photosynthesis, it's been completely what happened, it completely received by the plant. Receive பண்ண பிறகு by means of what, by means of the respiration loss occurs where like some amount of energy will get consumed by the plant. So 100 எடுத்திருக்கு, for example 100% எடுத்திருக்கு, and 100% எடுத்ததுல பிளான்ட்ஸ்க்கு வந்து ரெஸ்பிரேஷன் நடக்கும் போது சில எனர்ஜி லாஸ் ஆயிடும். அப்ப லாஸ் ஆக போய் மீதி எவ்வளவு எனர்ஜி உள்ள வந்திருக்கோ that is called as net primary productivity. So NPP stands for GPP minus respiration. GPP minus respiration loss, this we call it as net primary productivity, guys. So இதுல உங்களுக்கு ஒரு क्वेश्चन வரும், GPP னா என்ன, NPP னா என்ன. GPP னா total, NPP னா GPP minus RL, that is respiration loss, we call it as a net primary productivity. So this பேலன்ஸ்ல இருக்கிறது தான் which will be available for the consumption to the heterotrophs. இது ப்ரொடியூசர்ல நடக்கிறது. மீதி கன்சியூமர் மீதி வருது பாருங்க, அதுதான் என்ன பண்ணணும், this will be going to the primary consumer. அது கன்சியூம் பண்ணி மீதி எங்க போகும், செகண்டரி. அது கன்சியூம் பண்ணி மீதி எங்க போகும், it will go to the tertiary consumer, then it will go to the quaternary consumer. That is what actually beginning itself you take 10% law. This is unidirectional, the flow of energy, it is unidirectional, where the first which takes place in the producer, this take place by means of net primary productivity. After the respiratory loss, மீதி இருக்கிற எனர்ஜி தான் இப்ப என்ன ஆக போகுது, ப்ரொடியூசர்ல இருந்து பிரைமரி கன்சியூமர்ல இருந்து அப்புறம் செகண்டரி கன்சியூமர்ல இருந்து டெர்ஷரில இருந்து it will be going to the quaternary consumers. So the flow of energy which will be always taking place in upright, where the 10% law which comes to the picture. So this is about the primary production. Secondary productivity, where the rate of formation of new organic matter by consumers. Abdina, primary production which takes place by means of the plants, that is by means of producer, where the secondary productivity which takes place by means of consumer. It may be a primary, or it may be secondary consumer, it may be a tertiary consumer, or it may be quaternary consumer. So this is about productivity. So this is about decomposition. As you told the decomposition, what are the steps involved in the decomposition? Fragmentation, leaching, catabolism, humification, mineralization. In the stages மட்டும் ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கோங்க, right? So these are the series of stages which involve the steps involved in decomposition. What is fragmentation? This is already there in a textbook, you would have studied already. Fragmentation, the breakdown of detritus by the detrivores, like earthworms you take into the smaller particles. பெரிய particles, complex particles is getting fragmented into small fragments. இதுக்கு பேர் என்ன? This we call it as fragmentation. Okay. Second, leaching means what? Water soluble inorganic nutrients go down, பூமிக்கு அடியில போய், this will be like it go down into the soil horizon and got precipitated as unavailable soils. திருப்பி கிடைக்க கூடாத அளவுக்கு unavailable soils போய் bottom of the soil போய் கீழ தங்கிடும். இதுக்கு பேர் என்ன? This we call it as a leaching. So leaching is a water soluble inorganic nutrients go down into the soil or horizon and got precipitated as unavailable soils. Then comes the catabolism. What is a catabolism? Catabolism, where you could see detritus is degraded into the smaller inorganic substances by usually the soil bacteria, soil fungi. This performs the particular functions we call it as catabolism. You know the difference between the catabolism and anabolism, right? Then next process is humification, guys. This is very important part. Humification, and one question definitely will come. Humification is a process of forming humus. What is a humus? Humus is actually the formation of dark amorphous colloidal. Colloidal means this humus, the organic matter which club with the clay particles, and which forms the colloidal particles. And this is resistance to microbial action. அப்படின்னா decompose ஆகாமல இருக்காது, ரொம்ப கம்மியாக டைம்ல decompose ஆகும். Resistance to microbial action is a slow process. So resistance na decompose agave agadunu artham kediyadu, agum, ana it will be occurring in the very slow rate. So slow resistance to microbial action, and this acts like a reservoir of the nutrients, and this we call it as humus. You must know the definition of humus. I mentioned all the features, the characteristic feature of the humus, right? You could see formation of a dark, it's a humus, a dark substance, it's amorphous, colloidal nature, resistance to microbial action, and also it's act like a reservoir of the nutrients. This we call it as, call it as humus actually. Okay, okay, fine. Then mineralization, and thus yes, it is correct, Ma Harigaran, that is correct. That leads to over exploitation. நம்ம படிக்க போறது இந்த over exploitation conceptல வந்து we going to discuss. They produce in tons and tons of fishes produce பண்றாங்க இல்லையா? We going to discuss that is an over exploitation. That is the reason for most of the habit loss in biodiversity. We going to discuss about that. Okay. So mineralization, the humus is degraded into the inorganic substances. This we call it as mineralization. Then coming to the ecological pyramid. So we're done with the 4 parts of the components of ecosystem. Now we'll discuss about ecological pyramid. Ecological pyramid. Yes, it is correct, but that comes under over exploitation. Yes, Arigaran, Arishma, yeah, that is correct, but it is over exploitation. But that is not actually good for nature. Okay. Ecological pyramid. So coming to the ecological pyramid, where you could see the pyramid of number. We have 3 types of pyramid. And 3 types of pyramids. In the pyramid, and the definite 1 questions you'll get. What are 3 types of pyramid? The pyramid of number, then pyramid of biomass, and pyramid of energy. The first pyramid we're going to discuss is about the pyramid of number. Where you could see the pyramid of number, you could see in the grassland ecosystem. In the grassland ecosystem, see, this is like, upright. Where you could see this is upright, and this is also inverted. Both the things that you could see. Where? The pyramid of numbers. Pyramid of numbers and pyramid of pyramid of what is the next thing that we're going to discuss? Pyramid of biomass. The rendu edathulume vandu the pyramid will be like upright ஆவும் இருக்கும், inverted ஆவும் இருக்கும், right? Where you could see in the pyramid of numbers in the grassland, you could see the first example, grasses are producer, insects, frogs and birds are the carnivores, hawks and other birds are the top carnivore. Can you see the gradual decreasing here? இங்க the கீழ இருந்து over level இங்க topic level போக can you see actually its number is getting reduced, right? So this is the pyramid upright, right? It's going upright, where the number is gradually it is getting decreasing, right? Where you could see in this case, where the grasslands, you could see the producers are less, then herbivores, then the parasites, then you could see the hyperparasites. For example, trees, birds, lice or bugs you can take, and fleas. So here in this example, you could take, this is the parasitic food chain. You could see the parasitic food chain. This also act like an inverted pyramid of numbers. You could see the upright pyramid, and also you can see the inverted pyramid. Both are possible. That is what I'm trying to say. Both the pyramid of numbers, it can be upright, and pyramid of numbers, this can be also like inverted. Both are possible. So just, yes, exactly. You say the pyramid of forest is also like spindle shape. Yes, exactly. Okay. And saprophytes are not included in the pyramid. Exactly. I told you before itself. Decomposes where the saprophytes are not included. That you should keep it in your mind. These saprophytes or decomposers are not included in the pyramid. That you should keep it in your mind. So first one is the pyramid of number. Now we see pyramid of biomass. When you take the pyramid of biomass, here you could see, here also you could see upright, and here you could see inverted, upright as well as inverted. Coming to the pyramid of biomass, where you see the primary producer, it is 809, right? The biomass. Primary consumer 37, secondary consumer 11, tertiary consumer it is 1.5. It's gradually it's reducing, but this is the pyramid of upright. You could see the pyramid is upright. But in this case, inverted pyramid, in case you could see in the phytoplanktons, you could see. Here you could see the primary consumer, the primary producer is 4, whereas primary consumer is 21. It is increasing. It is inverted pyramid. So pyramid of upright and pyramid, the inverted pyramid, both that you can see even in case of pyramid of biomass. So first part in both the 2 pyramids, where you could see inverted as well as upright, both are possible. Okay, these numbers need not remember, guys. Often you get the question, sir, I need to remember the number. No. The numbers you need not, there's no compulsion that you should not remember the number. You should understand the concept where whether the pyramid of energy, I mean, like, the pyramid of what is that, it's upright or inverted. That is the only thing that you need to remember. Okay, for in these two cases, right? In this one, you take, this is very important, pyramid of energy. From this only often you'll get a question. So biomass, which means by usually the biomass which will be taken by means of a dry weight வச்சு பார்ப்பாங்க. Sometimes the biomass which can be collected by means of, by means of like a dry weight, and sometimes like pug marks which we can calculate the biomass. For example, you take the microorganisms which is growing in the petri dish. Petri dishல வளரக்கூடிய microorganisms போய் நம்ம கவுண்ட் பண்ண முடியாது. Can you get my question? For example, like Parthenium grass இருக்கு. So biomass which cannot be compared. For example, ஒரு பெரிய banyan tree இருக்கு. The banyan tree cannot be compared with the Parthenium grass. ஒரு இடத்துக்கு நீங்க போறீங்க, ஒரு பெரிய ஆழம் banyan tree இருக்கு. அந்த banyan tree சுத்தி you got like more number of like thousands and thousands of Parthenium grass. Can we compare the biomass of the Parthenium grass with the banyan tree? We cannot do it. Getting what I'm trying to say. As far the number is concerned, as for the pyramid of number is concerned, Parthenium is more. Parthenium grass is more. Banyan tree is one. When we talk about the pyramid of biomass, the biomass is more only in case of banyan tree and not with the Parthenium grass. ஏன்னா அந்த ஒரு banyan treeல எத்தனை insects இருக்கு, எத்தனை type of birds இருக்கு, எத்தனை type of other living organisms are getting accommodated inside. So when we talk about the pyramid of numbers, you can count it, the number of Parthenium grass. Where when we talk about the pyramid of biomass, where you take like with the credit goes only to the banyan tree, the one banyan tree that will be giving more credit for the biomass. Okay, fine. So this is the pyramid of energy. When you take in this case, this is a 10% law that I already to be discussed, like 10% law, where you could see from the sunlight the primary producers, primary consumer till the tertiary consumers. The joules you can take, the joules where you could see like 10,000 to 1,000, 1,000 to 100, 100 to 10. This we call it as unidirectional. So this is unidirectional, where always what happens, the 10% of law, we discussed already about this. This is always upright, no inverted. This you should be very careful. This is the place you get a question. Pyramid of energy is always upright. It will be never inverted. But minadi the first two pyramids where you could see both upright and inverted. See in this case, both upright and inverted. In the pyramid la parunga, both upright as well as you could see inverted, right? But in this pyramid, the pyramid of energy, it's only the pyramid like you could see where upright only, because it is unidirectional, where the energy flow which occurs, like the heat is getting generated, will be like 10% of flow, the energy which flows from one tropic level to the other tropic level. Okay, so the pyramid of energy, you get one but definite question. Okay, then ecological succession. We come to the next part, the ecological succession, right? Yes, exactly like Abhishya, the carbon weight also, carbon weight, the dry weight, other which we here we're going to discuss about ser we're going to discuss. What is the ecological succession? The gradual and fairly predictable change in the species composition of a given area is the ecological succession. அப்பனா ஒரு ஸ்டார்டிங் பாயிண்ட்ல இருந்து கிராஜுவலா என்ன ஆகும்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா, it will be keep on like substantial, கொஞ்சம் கொஞ்சமா this will start gradually, it start improving or increasing or proliferating. ஒரு point of time it will come to the climax condition, right? Mesic condition we call it as. So this is what we call it as a succession. This we call it as a succession. This succession are of two types actually. So what are the two types of succession we have? Primary succession and a secondary succession. Before going to these two types of succession, we'll discuss what is a climax community. Climax community means what? Climax community means changes to the community that is near equilibrium with the environment. அப்படின்னா ஒரு organism it's growing at ஒரு point of time என்ன ஆகும்னு கேட்டா, அதுக்கு மேல அதால என்ன பண்ண முடியாது. It cannot grow. It reached the climax, the equilibrium condition is maintained. We discussed yesterday where in case of like logistic growth நம்ம படிச்சோம். Carrying capacity, the nature fix one particular point where like the nature இவ்வளவுதான் resources கொடுத்திருக்கும். Beyond that, what happens, the organisms cannot grow it. For example, the lifespan of like the human beings, for example, 120 years, 120 years work on the life cycle is given for the dragonfly, it's for 3 to 4 days na avladhan. So that is what actually the lifespan is given. So this is what actually we call it as climax. Even when it grows also, what happened, one particular point which grows like evlo development nadandalum, ஒரு point of time it comes to a what, even you go for a movie, one point of time the movie should get over, the climax should come. This is what even I could see in case of succession, the succession which comes to a, what is it called, the climax which comes, it means which reach the equilibrium with the environment, and the particular environment where it goes, beyond which cannot grow, beyond which there are no resources are available. So nature ceases, nature stops in that particular point of time. That we call it as even carrying capacity, we call it as where it stops, right? So changes to the community that is near the equilibrium with the environment. This we call it as climax community. Sere. What is Sere? Sere is the entire sequence of community that successfully change in the given area. For example, you take the community. It may begin with any form. அது ஆரம்ப காலத்துல எப்படி வேணா இருந்திருக்கலாம். But ஆனா என்ன ஒரு point of time in time during the course of adaptation, during the course of extensive factors, maybe temperature, maybe rainfall, maybe like behavioral patterns, it may be anything. One point of time, what happens, the sequence which occurs for that particular organism to the community that successfully change in the given area, that leads to a sort of changes which occurs in the particular community. This we call it as an sera. This is the entire sequence which occurs. Sera, this entire sequence, SERE, sere or seres, actually we call it as singular or plural. So the entire sequence of community that successfully change in the given area, we call it as a sere. It's a word itself, it's not like any abbreviations we have, like, you know, sere or singular or plural, seres we call it as the sequence of community that sequentially change into the given area in the periodical and substantial change, we call it as a sere. So coming to the primary succession and the secondary succession, primary abdina under a particular area there would have been no chance of any living organisms would have been formed. For example, you take bare rocks where no living organisms ever existed. அந்த இடத்துல எந்த விதமான ஆர்கானிசம்ஸ் இது புல்லு பூண்டு எதுவுமே முளைச்சது கிடையாது. ஒரு bare rocks மட்டும்தான் which would have been formed, right? That we call it as a primary succession. This is very, very, very slow process actually. Maybe weathering of rocks, bare rocks, right? Maybe because of the temperature, because of the climatic condition. This may take even millions of years, also hundreds years or 100 years also it may take, right? It starts from the primitive, very beginning, right from the scratch, where there would have been no living forms would have been originated, no such evidence. அந்த இடத்துல எந்த விதமான லிவிங் ஆர்கானிசம் இருந்ததுக்கு உண்டான எந்த விதமான ப்ரூஃப் இருந்ததே இல்ல. அந்த மாதிரி சக்சஷன் we call it as primary succession, where there were no living organisms formed. This is called primary succession. So only this is the slow process. Okay. Secondary succession due to the catastrophes, due to, like, you know, disasters, deforestation. Adanaala, for example, this would have lost, the particular area would have lost all the living organisms. But ஆனா அதுக்கு முன்னாடி அங்க என்ன இருந்திருக்கு, ஆல்ரெடி அங்க ஒரு காடு இருந்திருக்கு, அதுக்கு முன்னாடி ஆல்ரெடி ஏதோ லிவிங் ஆர்கானிசம்ஸ் இருந்திருக்கு, அங்க ஆல்ரெடி ஏதோ அக்ரிகல்ச்சர் பண்ணிருக்காங்க, ஆல்ரெடி there was some sort of, like, you know, things that would have happened. There was chance of, like, living organisms before proliferated for long span of time. ஆல்ரெடி உயிரினம் இருந்திருக்கு அந்த இடத்துல. பட் அங்க இருந்து ஒரு புது உயிரினம் ஸ்டார்ட் ஆகுறதுன்றது ஒரு பெரிய விஷயம் கிடையாது, ரைட்? மேபி ஃபாரஸ்ட் ஃபயர், அந்த இடத்துல இந்த ஆர்கானிசம் ரொம்ப வருஷத்துக்கு முன்னாடி செத்து போயிருக்கலாம். மேபி டிஃபாரஸ்டேஷன் மூலியமாவோ, மேபி லைக் ஏதோ ஒரு டிசாஸ்டர் மூலியமாவோ, இல்ல நேச்சுரல் டிசாஸ்டர் மூலியமாவோ அந்த இடத்துல இந்த ஆர்கானிசம் இல்லாம போயிருக்கலாம். ஸோ ஆஃப்டர் தட் ஒன் பாயிண்ட் ஆஃப் டைம் என்ன ஆகுன்னு கேட்டா புது ஆர்கானிசம்ஸ் ஆல்ரெடி இருந்த இடத்துல இருந்து ஆரம்பிக்கும். ஸோ திஸ் வி கால் இட் அஸ் secondary succession. So this is comparatively fast process. The reason, because already the life is going to get start again, because from the pre-existing condition and the start agranala, this is a secondary succession, right? Where the primary succession, which is very, very, very slow, right? Example, you take the dinosaurs, the dragons, you can take it, right? So ecological succession. Coming to someone asked the difference between the Hydrac and the Xerac succession. So coming to the Hydrac and Xerac succession, Hydrac it's something related with the water. Xerac succession is something which really deals with the desert conditions or, like, you know, arid conditions you can take. Okay. Hydrac succession, where you could see the ecological succession that start in the water body. In the succession water body la start achina, this we call it as Hydrac succession. Hydrac succession. If the same process which occurs in the barren rocks, இந்த மாதிரி டெசர்ட் ஏரியாஸ்ல, அந்த மாதிரி ஏரியாஸ்ல இந்த மாதிரி சக்சஷன் ஸ்டார்ட் ஆச்சுன்னா this we call it as a Xerac succession. But both which will be converted to the mesic condition. What do you mean by mesic condition? The moderate conditionல தான் கொண்டு போய் முடியும். அதனால கம்ப்ளீட்டா டெசர்ட்டா மாறணும்னு கட்டாயம் கிடையாது, கம்ப்ளீட்டா அக்வாட்டிக் வாட்டர் லாக் பாடிஸா மாற்றணும்னு கட்டாயம் கிடையாது. என்ன ஆகும், சக்சஷன் will start from the beginning and it completes somewhere in the mesic condition, the moderate conditionல கொண்டு வந்து நிறுத்திடும். புரியுதுங்களா? It will not go to the extreme. So it starts with the water body and proceeds to the mesic condition. Mesic is the moderate condition. Moderate the water conditionல கொண்டு வந்து நிறுத்து, எக்ஸ்ட்ரீம்க்கு கொண்டு போகாது, மெசிக் கண்டிஷன்ல கொண்டு வந்து ஸ்டாப் பண்ணிடும். அதே மாதிரி தான் இங்க But it starts with the water body. It starts with the water body. It starts with the rocks. That makes the difference between the hydrax succession and the xerac succession. But who is the pioneer species? You must know what is the pioneer species. Mostly they'll ask the question of pioneer species. What is the pioneer species? Who will be the pioneer species for hydrax succession and who will be the pioneer species for the xerac succession? So xerac succession, where ஆரம்பிக்கிறது யாரு? It starts from where? Someone should start, right? Who's a pioneer? Pioneer-na முதல்ல ஆரம்பிச்சது உருவாக்குறது யார்? First ஆரம்பிச்சு விட்டது யார்? Pioneer species. As far as xerac succession is concerned, here it is phytoplanktons. Guys, இங்க இருந்து questions வரும். The pioneer species in case of hydrax succession, who is coming first? First ஆரம்பிச்சது யாரு? எதுல இருந்து ஸ்டார்ட் ஆச்சு? It began from the phytoplanktons. Guys, understand this is a key word. Phytoplankton is the pioneer species for hydrax succession. So this is the correct answer for hydrax. Phytoplanktons என்னவா மாறி இருக்கு? Submerged plant stage. Submerged plant stage which converted to free floating plant stage. After free floating plant stage, it converted reed swamp stage மாறிடுச்சு. Reed swamp stage வந்து meadow marsh. Meadow marsh வந்து scrubல இருந்து தான் கடைசில வந்து என்ன இருக்குன்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா forest. Now the forest is a climax community. எங்க வந்து முடிஞ்சிருக்கு? Start பண்ணது எங்க? It started with the phytoplankton, but where it got end up, it eventually it completed the climax. The climax occurred in the forest. So who is the pioneer species? They are a pioneer species. Phytoplanktons. We're talking about hydrax succession. If question comes வந்துச்சுன்னா, who is the pioneer species? Which is the pioneer species for the hydrax succession? கேட்டா கண்டிப்பா phytoplanktons தான் உங்களோட ஆன்சரா இருக்கணும். Okay, it reached the climax community, that is messy condition. Coming to the xerac succession in case of bare rocks. இங்க bare rocks la start பண்ண, who is the pioneer species? Lichens. Lichens is a very important. இங்க keyword வந்து xerac ன்னு கேட்டாங்கன்னா, here it is not phytoplankton. Here it is lichen. You know what is a lichen? Lichens is a symbiotic relationship between algae and fungi. The lichen's mass grows and an annual herb stage which forms the annual herb, which will become the perennial herb. The perennial herb will become the scrub stage. The scrub will become the forest. Here also the forest will become the climax community. So guys, you should understand, இங்க நீங்க வந்து ராக்ல இருந்து ஸ்டார்ட் ஆகுறதுனால இது வந்து டெசர்ட்டா மாறும். இட்ஸ் நாட் a conclusion. இங்கேயும் the forestல தான் முடியுது, இங்கேயும் the forestல தான் முடியுது. அப்படின்னா என்னன்னா ரெண்டுமே இட்ஸ் கோயிங் டு த mesic condition. Mesic condition is what? Moderate condition தான் கொண்டு போய் முடியுது. So lichens is usually for the xerac, that is the pioneer species. Phytoplanktons are the pioneer species for the hydrax succession. From this part, you'll get one particular question. So you should not have any sort of confusion. And here the mesic condition is what? Mesic condition is the climax community. Climax எதுல போய் முடியுது? It will be going to the forest. Here you could see the stages of the primary succession. There you could see in the hydrax succession. நம்ம கொஞ்ச நேரம் முன்னாடி பார்த்தோம்ல. For example, the phytoplankton நம்ம இப்பதான் சொன்னேன் உங்களுக்கு. Phytoplanktonல வந்தது phytoplanktons, then it moves to what? Submerged plants started. Then we have the floating plants, then floated leaf, then reed swamp வந்தது. The reed swamps கொஞ்ச நாள் கழிச்சு என்னவா மாறி இருக்குன்னா the marsh. This is a kind of evolution only we talk about, right? Marsh meadow வந்து என்னவா மாறி இருக்கு? woodlandல இருந்து ஒரு ட்ரீஸ் வருது. ட்ரீஸ் தான் என்னவா இருக்குன்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா ஒரு ஃபாரஸ்டா மாறிச்சு. சோ ஒரு காடு ஃபார்ம் ஆகுது அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா ஓவர் நைட்ல காடு ஃபார்ம் ஆகும். படத்துல வேணா அப்படி ஃபார்ம் ஆகலாம். பட் இன் ரியல் சிச்சுவேஷன் இட் டேக்ஸ் millions of years. ஒரு அமேசான் ஃபாரஸ்ட் ஃபார்ம் ஆயிருக்கு அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா this would have been occurred by means of, it would have started from what? It would have begun with the phytoplanktonsல இருந்து ஸ்டார்ட் ஆயிருக்கணும். அங்க phytoplanktonsல இருந்து ஸ்டார்ட் ஆனது தான் எங்க போய் முடியுது? கிளைமேக்ஸ்ல கொண்டு போய் முடியுது. The climax is now we call it as a mesic condition. This mesic condition we call it as forest now. So hydrax எடுத்துக்கிட்டீங்கன்னா phytoplankton, xerac succession எடுத்துக்கிட்டீங்கன்னா lichens. இந்த ரெண்டுத்தை மட்டும் ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கோங்க. Okay, this leads to the climax community. Now we move to the nutrient cycling. As far as nutrient cycling is concerned, we have two types of cycle: gaseous cycle and sedimentary cycle. Inga வந்து books they would have given carbon cycle and forest man of India. Exactly. So here you could see the gaseous cycle and the sedimentary cycle. So two types of cycle. Let me see the difference between the gaseous cycle and the sedimentary cycle. Sometimes I'll ask the questions between example of the gaseous cycle and the sedimentary cycle. The gaseous cycle example you take. What is the example for gaseous cycle? Carbon cycle, hydrogen cycle, oxygen, nitrogen cycle. These are all examples for the gaseous cycle. Sedimentary cycle. Sedimentary cycle you take phosphorus, sulfur, potassium, calcium. These are all examples. In the area you'll get a question. Sometimes I'll give an option, which among the following is the gaseous cycle? Which among the following is the sedimentary cycle. If this type of question comes, you must be in a position to answer. So cycles generally classified into the basis of the reservoir. The basis of reservoir, this biogeochemical cycle, which can be categorized into gaseous cycle and sedimentary cycle. Okay, fine. Then, in this case, the reservoirs for the elements is atmospheric air or water. It may be air or water in case of gaseous cycle. But here in sedimentary cycle, here the reservoir or elements of the earth, where you could see the elements which is like in the sediments of the earth, where the sedimentary cycles are usually very slow in action, which is faster. Gaseous cycle is faster, and sedimentary cycle which is comparatively slower actually. So this is about the gaseous and the sedimentary cycle. Okay, so we're done with this part. Now, we are done with the first, the first chapter, that is ecosystem, that we have completed. Now, ecosystem mudichitom. Next, we move on to the conservation, that is biodiversity. Biodiversity start pannuvom, and if time permits, like we'll try to complete the environmental issues also. Right? Conservation. This is biodiversity. So, as far as biodiversity, this is the next chapter, the biodiversity. In the biodiversity, who coined the term biodiversity? Who coined the biodiversity? It's coined by Walter G. Rosen. Walter G. Rosen. He is the person first coined the term in the year 1985. And later part, this term biodiversity, guys, this is biodiversity. That chapter is over. That ecosystem is over. And this chapter, that's why I changed the color of the slide. This is biodiversity. Okay. So Walter Rosen, he coined. Later part, it was established by Edward Wilson. Proper shape biodiversity definition proper kuduthathu. We'll discuss at last the ecosystem services that we'll discuss. Okay. So Edward Wilson, he just given the establishment of a biodiversity. Fine. So number of species of plants, animals, and microorganisms inhabiting in the given habitat is called as biodiversity. Fine. There are three types of diversity. What are the three types of diversity? Genetic diversity, species diversity, and we have a ecological diversity. So what is the genetic diversity? Example, genetic means variation in the genes. ஒரு organism உள்ள இருக்கிற genes கூடயே நிறைய variations இருக்கும். Example, you take in case of reserpine, இந்த alkaloids produce பண்ற இந்த particular take Revolvia vomitoria. Sometimes they'll ask which is the example for the genetic diversity, where you could see like Revolvia vomitoria, where you could see like in a country you could see like 50,000 type of strains of rice. There are 1,000 varieties of mango varieties. இதெல்லாம் வந்து என்னன்னா genetic variations, எல்லாமே genetic diversity. எல்லாமே mango தான், எல்லாமே rice variety தான். See how many variations. This is because of genetic variations வச்சு வருது. Second type of variation diversity in பாத்தீங்கன்னா species diversity. Diversity as the species level. For example, you take amphibians, the frogs that you take, amphibians are more in the Western Ghats when compared to the Eastern Ghats. This is actually like a example for the species, where one particular area where you could see more of amphibians, the other area where you could see less amount of we discussed like territoriality and all, right? Ecological diversity, the different landforms, each of which supports different and specific vegetation that you could see in ecology, right? So we're done with this. And coming to the global diversity, as far as global diversity, this image you would have seen in the textbook already. This is for invertebrates, this is for vertebrate, and this is for the plants, the pie that you could see. As far as invertebrate is concerned, which is more in invertebrates? You could see mostly in the pie kurthu, they'll ask you a question, which seems to maybe A, B, C. What does A, B, C represents? And the many questions is varum. So invertebrates, you could see majority of insects. And then comes like other animal groups, then mollusk, and you could see the crustaceans. Plus majority the population which actually frees by the invertebrates. Coming to the vertebrates, half of the population of the vertebrates which are of fishes here, then comes your amphibians, the birds, mammals, and the reptiles here. This is for vertebrates. Coming to the plants here, majority we could see in the angiosperms, that is flowering plants. And here you could see the fungi, and remaining things only you could see the algae and little bit of lichens, mosses, and ferns, and the other organisms. Okay, this pie they'll give a question. They'll ask you to identify what does A, B, C represents. Okay, the patterns of diversity. As far as the patterns of diversity, this we already discussed. I hope, like, latitudinal gradients. ரெண்டு ஒரு சாப்டருக்கு முன்னாடி நம்ம பார்த்துட்டோம் latitudinal gradients, where you could see the latitudinal gradients. We call it as latitudinal diversity gradient. We call it as LDG, right? The LDG, the organism diversity tends to be the highest near the equator. Equator கிட்ட இருக்கிற continents we discussed already, which seems to be more, and it started diminishing, which is going away from the equator. Then what will happen? The productivity also will be started comparatively less. But what are the continents which comes near to the equator, where the productivity is more, the species richness is more, right? Because it's having the constant climatic conditions over here, right? Because இங்க move ஆகும்போது என்ன ஆகும்னு கேட்டீங்க, towards the north, towards the south, move ஆகும்போது temperature will fluctuate, and also, like, the productivity also will be greatly varied, right? This pattern is called as latitudinal diversity gradient. Here biodiversity is quantified using the species richness. So this we should remember as far as your latitudinal gradient is concerned. Clear with this, guys? For latitudinal gradients, for example, you take, Colombia, you could see like 1400 species of, like, birds that you could see. And you could see New York, where is located 41 degrees north to the 105 degrees south, where the New York is located, where the productivity is more. And then you could see, like, Greenland between 71 degrees, Greenland between a 71 degrees. And you could see there is, like, more of organisms. Then you could see Amazon forest also, which lies near to the equator, where you could see 40,000 species of the plants, maybe like 3,000 types of fishes you could see, and 1,300 species of birds, 427 mammals, 378 reptiles, and 1,25,000 of, like, invertebrates you could see. And still in Amazon forest, there are about, they're estimating 2 million insects are yet to it's waiting for the discovery. நிறைய இது organisms நம்மளால கண்டுபிடிக்கவே இல்லை அப்படின்னா, they estimated in Amazon forest there are about like 2 million types of insects still prevailing. அது என்ன பூச்சின்றது நமக்கு இன்னும் சரியா கண்டுபிடிக்கல. It means, like, there are lots of organisms are prevailing in this particular area, the forest, but still it's waiting. இதுல என்ன, what is actually the saddest part itself, like, before invention itself, it's getting extincted. You trying getting what I'm trying to say? அது கண்டுபிடிக்கிறதுக்கு முன்னாடி அது என்ன செஞ்சிருது, அந்த உயிரினம் என்ன ஆயிடுதுன்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா, அது என்டேஞ்சர் ஆகி அது என்ன ஆயிடுது, threatened ஆகி, vulnerable species ஆகி, it already got extincted. It means, like, most of the species still awaiting. அதுல ஏதோ ஒரு பூச்சிலையோ, அதுல ஏதோ ஒரு பிளான்ட்லயோ, ஏதோ ஒரு இடத்துல வந்து, for example, this may be like having a valuable compound which used for many of the diseases, cure பண்றதுக்கு ஏதோ ஒரு compound உள்ள இருக்கலாம். Since the people, we don't have, like, tendency to go and do the research on this people, it's all waiting for the research. ஏன்னா யாராவது கண்டுபிடிக்க மாட்டாங்களா எனக்குள்ள இவ்வளவு விஷயங்கள் இருக்குன்னு. There are many plants and many insects are still, like, murmuring and, weeping inside the forest before the invention. அதை கண்டுபிடிக்கிறதுக்கு முன்னாடியே the species are going to an extinction. This is the saddest part that you could see most of the areas. ஏன்னா நமக்கு தெரியாது அதுக்குள்ள என்ன நல்ல விஷயம் இருக்குன்றது தெரியாது. So this is what that you should be, like, very thing, like, the research people, the scientists, they should be extra cautious. And that is what the people say, the scientists say. In Amazon forest, we could see, call it as the lung of the planet, where you could see, like, more than, like, the 2 million insects are still waiting. It doesn't know, like, what is the function, what is the name of the insect, what is the family of the insect. Before we discovered or invent that particular type of insect, is going to the extinction. So that is the saddest part that we can say, right? So this is about the latitudinal gradient. So when we move the tropical forest is more productivity. Why? ஈக்குவேட்டர்ல இருக்கிற அந்த கான்டினென்ட்ஸ்ல இருக்கிற எல்லா இடத்துலயும் ப்ரொடக்டிவிட்டி அதிகமா இருக்கு. வாட் இஸ் த ரீசன்? த ரீசன் இஸ் வாட்? பிகாஸ் இட் ரிமைன் அன்டிஸ்டர்ப். ஈக்குவேட்டர்ல நடுவுல இருக்கிற கான்டினென்ட்ஸ் எல்லாம் எப்படி இருக்கும்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா, இட் ரிமைன் அன்டிஸ்டர்ப்ட் ஃபார் லாங் ஸ்பேன் ஆஃப் டைம். திஸ் இஸ் ஒன் ரீசன். பிளக்சுவேஷன்ஸ் இருக்காது. அண்ட் செகண்ட் ரீசன் வந்து constant climatic condition is prevailing all over here, right? கரெக்டான நேரத்துல மழை, கரெக்டான நேரத்துல வெயில், கரெக்டான நேரத்துல எல்லா கிளைமேட்ஸும் கரெக்டா வரனால there are no necessity for, like, species to migrate from one place to another. So the productivity is also more. So climatic conditions also, like, which is predictable and constant seasons are, it's prevailing in the equatorial region. And niche specialization, I told you about we discussed about the habitat. நிச் பத்தி படிச்சோம் இல்லையா? நிச்னா அந்தந்த ஆர்கானிசம்க்கு உண்டான ப்ரொஃபஷன் என்னவோ அது கரெக்டா அது பார்க்கும் அந்த இடத்துல. இட் வில் நாட் டீவியேட். So niche specialization is also, like, confirmed here. And more solar energy here, more solar energy அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா என்ன அர்த்தம்? more productivity. ஏன் ஆர்கானிசம் இந்த இடத்த விட்டு என்ன பண்றது, வேற இடத்துக்கு மூவ் ஆக போறது இல்லை. ஒரு இடத்துல இருந்து அந்த இடத்துலயே உயிர் வாழ்ந்து அந்த இடத்துலயே இது going to increase and proliferate. அதனால அந்த இடத்துல இன்னொரு இடத்துக்கு போக போறது இல்லை, எக்ஸ்டிங்ஷன் நடக்க போறது இல்லை. எக்ஸ்டிங்ஷன்ன்றது என்னது? இறந்து போகுது. ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள், டைனோசர்ஸ் ஆர் பீன் எக்ஸ்டிங்க்ட். டைனோசர் உயிரினமே இப்ப கிடையவே கிடையாது. ஸ்பாரோஸ் வந்து இஸ் நாட் எக்ஸ்டிங்க்ட். ஸ்பாரோஸ் என்ன, red listல இருக்கு அப்படின்னா என்ன? What is the red list? We call it as a red list. யோட red data book நம்ம படிப்போம். இந்த red data bookல என்ன பண்ணிருப்பாங்கன்னா endangered species, அழிவுக்கோட வாயில நிக்கிற, I mean all the threatened species or endangered species which almost going to get extincted, இதெல்லாம் தான் endangerல வரும். ஒரு உயிரினம் இருந்துச்சு, இனிமேல் அந்த உயிரினமே உலகத்துல கிடையாது, இனிமேல் அது இல்லவே இல்ல அப்படின்ற ஸ்பீஷிஸ் disappeared, it's completely like it's no more அப்படின்றதுதான் we call it as what? We call it as a extinction. Endangeredனா என்ன? Endangered அப்படின்னா அழிவினோட வாயில நிக்கிறது. At any point of time it can be sparrows. You take sparrows are not extincted, sparrows are endangered species. அழிவினோட வாயில நிக்குது. So this is what actually endangered, a vulnerable species we call it. இதெல்லாம் எந்த லிஸ்ட்ல வரும்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா, there's a book called as red data book. I mean red data bookல வந்து we have, can you give an expansion for IUCN? IUCN என்ன பண்ணிருக்காங்க? IUCN, what is the expansion for IUCN? They given the classification of these organisms and they categorized vulnerable ஸ்பீஷிஸ்லாம் எது, threatened ஸ்பீஷிஸ்லாம் என்னென்ன, endangered ஸ்பீஷிஸ்லாம் என்னென்ன, இதுல எதெல்லாம் எக்ஸ்டிங்க்ட் ஆக போற ஸ்பீஷிஸ், இதுல நம்ம என்னென்ன எந்த ஸ்பீஷிஸ் எப்படி நம்ம பாதுகாக்க முடியும், அதுக்கு தான் நம்ம என்ன படிக்க போறோம் அப்படின்னா இன்சிட்டு கன்சர்வேஷன், எக்ஸிட்டு கன்சர்வேஷன், பொட்டானிக்கல் கார்டன், ஜுவாலஜிக்கல் பார்க், வைல்ட் லைஃப் சஃபாரி, இந்த மாதிரி சில விஷயம், சாக்கட் குரூப்ஸ், இந்த மாதிரி நிறைய கான்செப்ட்ஸ் வந்து we going to discuss this particular chapter. இதெல்லாம் எதன ஸ்பாரோஸ் வந்து, ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் the vibration, that you know the magnetic waves, the radiation, because of the sparrow, because it is endangered species. International Union for Conservation of Nature, this is an expansion for IUCN. Sometimes they'll ask a expansion for IUCN, International Union for Conservation of Nature. This we call it as IUCN, right? Red data book, red data bookல என்ன பண்ணுவாங்க, we have the hot spots மாதிரி ஃபிக்ஸ் பண்ணுவாங்க. இதெல்லாம் இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் ஏரியாஸ், நம்ம இப்ப கொரோனாக்கு சொல்றோம்ல, இதெல்லாம் ஹாட் ஸ்பாட்ஸ், இந்த இடத்துல அதிகமான ஏரியாஸ்லாம் அஃபெக்ட் ஆயிருக்கு, ஹாட் ஸ்பாட் ரெட் ஏரியா மாதிரி கொடுத்துருக்கோம். அதே மாதிரி the particular region where most of the species வந்து அழிவோட வாயில நிக்கும் பொழுது அதை நம்ம என்ன சொல்லுவோம்னு கேட்டீங்க, it's all hot spots, it's all hot spots region. இந்த ஏரியால இருக்கிற உயிரினங்கள் வந்து அதிகமாக பாதுகாக்கப்பட வேண்டிய கட்டாயத்துல இருக்கு. இது குடிசி இதை பாதுகாக்கலன்னா the species will become, now it's endangered. என்டேஞ்சர் கண்டினியூ ஆயிட்டே இருந்துச்சுன்னா this will go to an extinction. குடி சீக்கிரத்துல இந்த ஆர்கானிசம் என்ன ஆயிடும், அழிஞ்சிடும் அப்படின்றதான் இந்த எக்ஸ்டிங்ஷனை காட்டுது. அதனால என்டேஞ்சர் ஸ்பீஷிஸை ப்ரொடெக்ட் பண்றது இட்ஸ் வெரி வெரி இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் ஃபார் ஆல் தி ஈகாலஜிஸ்ட், இன்க்ளூடிங் தி ஸ்பாரோஸ் ஆல்சோ. நிறைய ஃபர்ஸ்ட்ல நம்ம ஸ்பாரோஸ் அடிக்கடி பார்ப்போம், இப்போ ஸ்பாரோஸ் எல்லாம் எங்கேயாவது நம்ம பார்க்க முடியுது. This is again like in this kind of endangered species. We are in position to protect this type of animals actually. So because of the radiation that we're talking about, the sparrows, like you know, where most of the birds which cannot take up the radiation, this is one of the reasons that people talking about the radiations, the fluctuations, where the sparrows which cannot take those things, right? So this is one of the latitudinal gradient. Then comes species area relationship. The species area relationship, yeah, the red data book is also called as, yes, Russian, because sometimes they also called as Russian data, red data book னு கூட சில இடத்துல நம்ம சொல்லலாம். Yeah, we can use that Russian red data book also, we can call it as, where they fix the hot spots. Okay, fine. Then examples, the very good species area relationship. இது யார் first propose பண்ணா, they'll ask this question, who proposed the species area relationship? Alexander von Humboldt. Alexander von Humboldt is a species richness where it is like, you know, increased, where the species will be increased when the area also with increased explored area, but up to a certain limits. Area increase பண்ணும்போது, அதோட area increase பண்ணும்போது எதுவும் சேர்ந்து increase ஆகுமா? Where the species also will started increasing. So this is called a species area relationship. So there is a relationship with the species and the area. If you start increasing an area, but one particular point of time, அதுக்கு vast area கிடையாது, ஒரு particular point of area, if you start increasing, there are more chances for the organism to get explored, right? So the entire continent you take for the list, you could see the slope of line is, sometimes they'll ask the value, the entire continent, the slope of regression we call it as, we have the formula here, log s is equal to log c plus z log a, right? So this is the coefficient regression this would have studied, right? Z is the coefficient regression that you would have studied. One you could see hyperbola, another one you could see the straight line, the log scale that you could see. But in case of the entire continent, if you just plot the graph, this comes between 0.6 to 1.2. This value is important. If you take for a frugivorous birds and index of mammals, the regression coefficient, the species richness, which comes with like, you know, 1.15. In the values ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கோங்க. Species area relationship first propose பண்ணவரோட பேரு ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கோங்க. That is Alexander von Humboldt. And this equation, log s is equal to log c plus z log a. So this is about the patterns of biodiversity. Then காசஸ் ஆஃப் பயோடைவர்சிட்டி. இந்த பயோடைவர்சிட்டி வந்து ஏன் உயிரினங்கள் அழியுது அதை பத்தி நம்ம டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ண போறோம். வாட் இஸ் த ரீசன் ஃபார் தட்? த ரீசன் இஸ் habitat loss and fragmentation. Habitat loss and fragmentation, over exploitation. Tons of fishes is getting like produced. Over exploitation, alien species invasion, then co-extinction. These are the four main reasons. Habitat loss and fragmentation, this is because of our human activity. The human activity, the human activities where the degradation of like many habitats, right? Loss of a tropical rainforest because of soybean cultivation. Amazon forestல நிறைய பேர் என்ன பண்ணாங்கன்னா soybean cultivation பண்ணி இந்த சாப்டர் நம்ம முடிக்கிறதுக்குள்ளே எத்தனோ acres of land will be get like devasted, right? This we call it as evil quarret. Exactly, Rubina, evil quarret we call it as. So we are actually we are conversion to the grasslands. மாடு கேட்டல்ஸ்க்காக நம்ம என்ன பண்றோம், கிராஸ்லேண்ட்ஸை யூஸ் பண்றோம். அப்போ ஃபாரஸ்ட்ல என்ன பண்றோம், we making deforestation. அப்போ உயிரினங்கள் வாழறதுக்கு இடம் இல்லாம போயிடுது. So this we call it as loss of. அப்போ ஒரு ஆர்கானிசம் ஒரு இடத்துல இருக்கும்போது this will get fragmented. அந்த ஒரு வீட்ல இருந்து என்ன ஆகும், the speciation occurs which will start migrating from one area to the other area. So this is habitat loss and fragmentation. Then comes over exploitation. அப்படின்னா when need turns to greed. நம்ம நீடுக்கு மட்டும் தான் எடுத்துக்கணும். Now what happens, human beings வந்து நீட் வந்து என்னவா மாறிடுச்சு, கிரீடா மாறிடுச்சு, பேராசை அதிகமாயிடுச்சு. So where they use for soybean cultivationக்காக என்ன பண்ணிருக்காங்க கேட்டா அந்த லேண்ட் யூஸ் பண்ணிட்டாங்க. தட் இஸ் வாட், சோயாபீனால எந்த ஆமும் கிடையாது. சோயாபீனை கல்டிவேட் பண்றதுக்கு அந்த எந்த லேண்ட் யூஸ் பண்ணிருக்காங்க, ஃபாரஸ்ட்ல இருக்கிற ஏரியாஸ் they used actually the soybean for soybean cultivation, right? That's what I'm talking about. So over exploitation, when need turns to greed, then what happened, extinction of, for example, Steller sea cow. In the Steller sea cow, you take passenger pigeon. Over harvesting of the fishes, we told already, over harvesting of fishes. Romba fish another fishes kuda or time kudupanga, breeding season kudupanga. To that point of time, the fishermen should not go to the ocean fishing nadaka kudadu. So we should give time for them, right? So over harvesting of fishes, this leads to the over exploitation. Alien species invasion. யார் எங்க இருந்தோ வந்து ஒரு பர்டிகுலர் ஆர்கானிசம் நம்ம ஊருக்கு வந்து நம்ம ஊர்ல இருக்கிற ஆர்கானிசம்ஸையோ இல்ல பர்டிகுலர் எதையோ ஒரு சாகடிச்சா தட் இஸ் கால்ட் அஸ் ஏலியன் ஸ்பீஷிஸ் இன்வேஷன். எக்ஸாம்பிள் நான் கொடுக்குறேன், இதுல இருந்து ஒரு கொஸ்டின்ஸ் வரும். ஏலியன் ஸ்பீஷிஸ் இன்வென்ஷன், யூ டேக் இன்வேஷன் ஆஃப் இண்டிஜினியஸ் ஸ்பீஷிஸ். நம்ம ஊர்ல இருக்கிற சில மிருகங்களையோ நம்ம ஊர்ல இருக்கிற பிளான்ட்ஸையோ வெளியில இருந்து வந்த ஏதோ ஒரு வீடோ ஏதோ ஒரு கண்டாமினன்ட் ஸ்பாயில் பண்ணுதுன்னா தட் இஸ் கால்ட் அஸ் ஏலியன் ஸ்பீஷிஸ் இன்வேஷன். எக்ஸாம்பிள், இது வெரி இம்பார்ட்டன்ட், நைல் பர்ச். நைல் பர்ச் என்றது ஒரு டைப் ஆஃப் ஃபிஷ். திஸ் இன்ட்ரோடியூஸ்ட் இன்டு தி லேக் விக்டோரியா. இதை இன்ட்ரோடியூஸ் பண்ணும்போது என்ன ஆச்சுன்னா இந்த நைல் பர்ச் வந்து எதை சாகடிச்சிருச்சு, எக்ஸ்டிங் சிச்சிலேட் ஃபிஷ்னு ஒரு டைப் ஆஃப் ஃபிஷ் இருந்தது. இந்த சிச்சிலேட் ஃபிஷ் இப்ப இல்லவே இல்லை. எதனால இல்ல? The cichlid fish has got extincted because of the introduction of the Nile perch. The Nile perch is an alien species. In the Nile perch உள்ள போனதுனால this started acting against the cichlid fish. This leads to led to an extinction of cichlid fish. So this is an alien species invasion. எங்க இருந்தோ வந்த ஒரு ஸ்பீஷிஸ் ஆல்ரெடி இருக்கிற ஸ்பீஷிஸை சாகடிக்குது இல்லையா? So this is what actually invasion of Parthenium grass, carrot grass னு சொல்றோம்ல, the Parthenium grass. Then you take lantana and water hyacinth, we call it as Eichhornia species. And you take terror of Bengal சொல்றோம்ல, இதெல்லாம் அப்படி வந்ததுதான் ஏலியன் ஸ்பீஷிஸ். இதெல்லாம் நம்ம நாட்டுக்கு உண்டானது கிடையாது, வேற எங்க இருந்தோ வந்து நம்ம நாட்டுல வந்து this is causing a nuisance actually. So the water hyacinth. Then you take African catfish. இந்த ஆப்பிரிக்கன் கேட்ஃபிஷ் ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் கிளாரியஸ் கேரிபைனஸ், இந்த ஃபிஷ் வந்து என்ன பண்ணி அக்வாகல்ச்சருக்காக ஃபர்ஸ்ட் யூஸ் பண்ணும். This fishes started acting against what? Against our catfishes. நம்மளோட catfishes வந்து இப்போ என்ன ஆயிடுச்சுன்னா அமௌண்ட் வந்து கம்மியாக, ப்ரீடிங் வந்து கம்மியாக ஆரம்பிச்சிருச்சு because of the invasion of this alien species that is an African catfish. These are the some of the examples where you can take it for alien species invasion. Co-extinctions வந்து எதுக்கு அப்ளை பண்ணுதுன்னா parasite and hostக்கும் அப்ளை ஆகும், plant and pollinators. For example, host இல்லைன்னா கண்டிப்பா எதாலையும் உயிர் வாழ முடியாது, parasiteம் உயிர் வாழ முடியாது. So because the parasite is completely dependent on what? Host. Co-extinction, host செத்தா யாரும் சாகணும், parasiteம் செத்து தான் போகணும். For example, you take virus is completely depends on what? The host cell. If there are no host cell, hostே கிடையாதுன்னா வைரஸ் எங்க உயிர் வாழும்? Virus also will die. Getting what I'm trying to say? So this is co-extinction. ஒரு உயிரினம் சாகும் பொழுது அதோட சேர்ந்து அதை நம்பி இருக்கிற இன்னொரு உயிரினமும் சேர்ந்து இறந்து போகும், எக்ஸ்டிங்க்ட் ஆகிடும், இல்லாம போகும். This we call it as co-extinction. அதே மாதிரி தான் plant and pollinators. The insects and the plant depends upon the insects and insects depends on the plant for the nectar. Plants எதுவுமே இல்ல, flowers எதுவுமே இல்லன்னு கேட்டா the insects cannot survive. So getting what I'm trying to say, this leads to a co-extinction. இது இல்லாம அது இல்ல, அது இல்லாம இது இல்ல, இது இறந்தா அதுவும் சேர்ந்து இறந்துரும். This is called as co-extinction. Co-evolutionம் படிச்சோம் நம்ம முன்னாடி பார்த்த பாட்டுல வந்து co-evolution. ஒரு உயிரினம் வாழும்போது அதை நம்பி இருக்கிற, அதை சார்ந்து இருக்கிற இன்னொரு உயிரினம் என்ன செய்யும், சேர்ந்து உயிர் வாழும். தட் இஸ் கோ எவல்யூஷன். அதே மாதிரி தான் கோ எக்ஸ்டிங்ஷனும். கோ எக்ஸ்டிங்ஷன் ஒரு உயிரினம் சாகும் பொழுது அதை நம்பி இருக்கிற இன்னொரு உயிரினமும் சேர்ந்து, ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் யூ டேக் லைச்சன்ஸ், யூ டேக் ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் அதுங்க ஆல்கே இல்லைன்னா ஃபங்கையும் சேர்ந்து சாகும். ஸோ லைச்சன்ஸ் இருக்காது. கெட்டிங் வாட் அண்ட் ரைட் டு சே mycorrhizae you take. These are the symbiotic relationships where you could see in case like it leads to co-extinction of the species, where one species depend on the other. Okay, these are the causes of the biodiversity. Then how do we conserve biodiversity? நம்ம எப்படி பாதுகாக்கலாம் இந்த ஸ்பீஷிஸ் எல்லாம்? We have in situ conservation and ex situ conservation. In situ conservationல வந்து என்ன, the species confined to the particular region and not anywhere else, that is called as endemism. இந்த questions கேட்பாங்க. What is endemism? Endemism வந்து சில particular species வந்து ஒரு particular ஏரியால மட்டும் தான் இருக்கும், that you cannot see anywhere else and anywhere else. This we call it as endemism. How many hotspots we have? The questions mostly we get biodiversity hotspots. How many biodiversity hotspots we have? We have 34 biodiversity hotspots. Sometimes they'll ask this question. 34 hotspots we have in India. India la ethana hotspots irukku? How many hotspots that we have in India? India we have the Western Ghats and Sri Lanka, Indo-Burma and Himalaya. Then we have the biosphere reserves. 90 national parks we have. 90 national parks, 448 wildlife sanctuaries, sacred groves. Sacred groves வந்து சரணாலயம் மாதிரி. What are the things like Kasi and Jainta hills in Meghalaya, Aravalli hills in Rajasthan, Western Ghats region, Chanda and Bastar areas in Madhya Pradesh. These are all actually like well, this are all sacred groves we call it. In situக்கும் ex situக்கும் என்ன டிஃபரன்ஸ்? In situனா என்னன்னா, ஒரு உயிரினம் அழிய போகுதுன்னா அந்த இடத்துக்கே நம்ம போவோம். We'll go to the particular area itself and we'll try to protect. We will not take that particular organism out of the natural habitat. அது இருக்கிற ஏரியாக்கே போய் அங்கே we'll give the protection, right? This we call it as in situ conservation. Ex situ conservation அப்படின்னா we'll create an artificial environment அப்படின்னா, for example you take botanical garden, zoological park, wildlife safari. அது நேச்சுரல் என்விரான்மெண்ட் மாதிரி ஆர்டிபிஷியலா வெளியில செட் பண்ணி கொடுக்கும். அந்த மாதிரி கொடுத்தா தட் இஸ் எக்ஸ் சிட்டு கன்சர்வேஷன். இன்சிட்டுக்கும் எக்ஸ் சிட்டுக்கும் அதான் டிஃபரன்ஸ். இன்சிட்டு கன்சர்வேஷன் உயிரினம் இருக்கிற இடத்துக்கே போய் அதை பாதுகாத்தா தட் இஸ் இன்சிட்டு கன்சர்வேஷன். எக்ஸிட் கன்சர்வேஷன்ன்றது வந்து அந்த என்டேஞ்சர்ட் ஸ்பீஷிஸ் அந்த இடத்துல இருந்து வெளியில கொண்டு வந்து we create a artificial, that is அதுக்கு ஏற்றபடி artificial environment அமைச்சு கொடுத்தா that we call it as an ex situ conservation. So we have 3 biospheres in India. We have 3 biospheres in India. So 34, right? Right. So come to the ex situ conservations. Ex situ conservation, all the threatened species taken out from the natural habitat and special protection and care will be given. How? By means of zoological park. So zoological park, botanical garden, wildlife sanctuary, wildlife safari parks. Even you take tissue culture, seed bank, gene bank, cryopreservation techniques. So 34 hotspots in all over the world. All over the world, 34. 34 is the, and 3 hotspots in India. Idan ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கோங்க. 34 all over the world and 3 in India, the hotspots number. Okay. So as per the textbooks that you refer, so if you go to the Google, it gives 35 also. But as per the textbooks, you go to the NCRT, if you could see like as per the NCRT, that you could see only 34 only. Okay, don't get confused. Okay, fine. Okay, so go with the NCRT. As per the NCRT, right, because they would have increased like the numbers biodiversity, but as per the textbooks NCRT, it is given like 34 hotspots. But if you go and search in Google, of course it gives like 35, that one more hotspots which has been included. But as per NCRT, it is 34 only. Okay, fine. So here the sacred groups which comes under the in situ conservation. Then this is the important part. Earth Summit. Enga first nadandhathu Earth Summit. Earth Summit which held in Rio de Janeiro in 1990. Sometimes they'll ask this question. Earth Summit which held in Rio de Janeiro, and follow up on the sustainable development in 2002 in Johannesburg, South Africa. It's in South Africa. Okay, the year ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கோங்க. Earth Summit held in எங்க நடந்தது? Rio de Janeiro in the year 1992. Maybe this part you can get a question, where the 190 countries almost like actually they contributed, they participated in this one. So in India, make it as 3 guys, make it as 3 because we following NCRT. As per NCRT, the question answer is 3. Okay, as per the world hotspot, it is 34. It is 34 because I'm not giving these numbers based on the Googles. Right, as per the NCRT, the hotspots which present in India is 3, and in world the number of hotspots is 34. Don't get fluctuating, so have this in your mind. Okay, so Environmental issues. So very quickly, the environmental issues. Here we discuss about the act. The act மட்டும் ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கோங்க. Sometimes I'll ask the question where you could see the Environmental Protection Act. Okay, Environmental Protection Act. It is 1986. 1986 improve the quality of the act which was proposed in the year 1986. Air Prevention and Control Act in the year 1981. Then amendment has been passed in the year 1987. Then Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act. It is in 1974. And National Forest Policy 1988, Chipko movement in the year 1974, JFM, that is Joint Forest Management, right? It is 1980. So in the year learned the other questions were. So that is right. I just place everything together. Okay, I just confirm, guys. Don't get confused now. I just confirm and tell you, like, what is exact the hotspots in India as well as throughout the world. Maybe it's 35 or 4. Okay, I just confirm and let you know in the next class. Okay, fine. So in the year alone, you just keep it in your mind. So Environmental Action Act, Air Prevent and Control Act, the National Forest Policy, Chipko movement in the year 1974, and Joint Forest Management. So air pollution and its control. Either you could see the electroprecipitator and the scrubber. Sometimes you get the questions actually. So question, you get electrostatic precipitator and scrubber. The scrubber which removes the sulfur dioxide. This question you get it. How the scrubber which acts? The scrubber which removes what? Which removes the sulfur dioxide. This is one possible question that you'll get it. And what's the expansion for CBCB? CPCB. Expansion for CPCB. They mentioned the particulate less than the 2.5 micrometers cause harm to the human beings, maybe in the breathing, difficulty in breathing, irritation, or inflammation. So this is given by the CPCB, right? So then automobile industry. So what the automobile industry they did was they just inserted the catalytic converter. What is the main function of the catalytic converter? Catalytic converter, which reduce the emission of the poisonous gases, unburned hydrocarbons are converted to what? Converted to carbon dioxide and nitrogen gas. But when they use this catalytic converter, when they place an automobile place where they must use only unleaded petrol. Why they must use unleaded petrol? Because lead which present in the petrol will inactivate the catalyst. Petrol lead which will inactivate the catalyst. So you must use only the unleaded petrol if you are going with the catalytic converters. This is the diagrammatic representation of electrostatic precipitator, and we have the scrubber which removes sulfur dioxide. Okay, guys. So this you just go through with it. And so why CNG, compressed this CNG is like compressed natural gas. Compressed natural gas is better than diesel oda CNG am better அப்படின்ற questions வந்துச்சுன்னா because CNG burns more efficiently. CNG, compressed natural gas, is cheaper than the petrol and diesel. This cannot be siphoned by thieves and this cannot be adulterated. அதனால CNG வந்து யூஸ் பண்ணாங்க. டெல்லில எல்லாம் பாத்தீங்கன்னா பொல்யூஷன் கண்ட்ரோல் பண்றதுக்கு they using the gas called as compressed natural gas. இது வந்து just அப்புறம் euro norms பாத்துக்கங்க. The euro norms maybe you get a question. Euro norms to cut the vehicular pollution. This is the Bharat state emission standards. நீங்க பாத்திருப்பீங்க. Euroல we have the 5 euros like 1 to 4 and 5th euro also we have Bharat euro, Bharat 1, Bharat 2, 3, 4, 5 இருக்கு. இதுல the auto fuel policy to cut down the vehicle pollution. இது ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கோங்க. Okay. Then Montreal Protocol. What is the Montreal Protocol? Montreal Protocol is international treaty which is designed to protect the ozone layer, passed in January in the year 1989, where hydrochlorofluorocarbons replaced chlorofluorocarbons, then HFC replaced by HFC as they causes no ozone destruction. So Montreal Protocol, you need to remember. CPCB stands for Control Pollution Control Board. Okay, this is the water pollution. So reasons for water pollution. What are the reasons for water pollution? Household detergent, domestic sewage, maybe because of algal blooms, industrial waste. We have the offshore oil drilling, then from the thermal plants, and also we have like marine pollution. These are some reasons for central. It's not central. Okay, central. Okay, it's not control. It is central. Okay, fine. Right? Then you get a question. Impurities in the sewage water. You could see the 1.1% is what are the things which consist of suspended solids, colloidal materials, dissolved materials. You get one question. Okay, suspended solids sand, silt and clay. Colloidal materials you get fecal matter, bacteria, cloth and the paper fibers. Dissolved materials you get the nitrates, ammonia, phosphate, sodium and calcium. In the area you may get one particular question. This any type of solid impurity கேட்பான். Suspended or colloid or dissolved materials. That type of questions you may get it. And this we have studied already BOD. You know what is BOD, right? We studied before itself biochemical oxygen demand. Based on the biochemical oxygen demand, here BOD is the amount of oxygen required by the microorganisms for stabilizing decomposable organic matter. Now already, what does it significant? If a BOD அதிகமான என்ன அர்த்தம்? What does it mean? There is a reduction of BOD. If the waste water and sewage water, if there is more BOD value is more, what does it mean? In the sewage water, BOD level is less. What does it mean? Okay, guys. So BOD, where you could see the concentrations like will get fluctuated, the dissolved oxygen which will be produced, and again the blue line which shows like reduction in the BOD. Okay, so fine. So this is about the BOD. Biomagnification. இது நீங்க bookல படிச்சிருப்பீங்க. Biomagnification example you take DDT. From the lower level, this DDT levels which will be keeps on magnifying, right? When it goes to the low to the insignificant amounts in the environment and concentrated in the each steps of the food chain. Example you take DDT. Okay, biomagnification. Just overlook மட்டும் பார்த்துக்கோங்க. Example for biomagnification you take the pesticides DDT. Okay, eutrophication, aging of the lakes, natural aging of the lake which takes place, we call it as eutrophication. Man-made that is called as cultural or accelerated eutrophication. Natural that is normal eutrophication. Man-made activities, human activities மூலியமா aging of lakes நடந்ததுன்னா that we call it as accelerated eutrophications that you could see. Okay, this is about the eutrophication. And at last you study about the global warming. This you didn't studying from right from the lower classes. இதுல வந்து மெயினா வந்து நீங்க greenhouse gases மட்டும் பார்த்துக்கோங்க. So greenhouse gasesல which is the prominent majority of the gases? இதுல இருந்து ஒரு question வரும் greenhouse gasesல இருந்து. Carbon dioxide, then we have the methane is about like 16% next to the carbon dioxide, then the nitrous oxide. So greenhouse gases that you should be very careful. Okay, fine. So greenhouse gases that you should remember. And what are the effects of the ozone depletion? Ozone depletion la enna varum? UV radiations which causes diseases like skin cancer, it suppresses the immune system, damage the eyes and harmful to the certain crops and marine organisms, and also which cause slow blindness, cataract, கண்ணுல பூ விழுது, இந்த மாதிரி cases எல்லாம் very good. See this because of the ozone depletion. அதுல ultraviolet B, UVB, right? இதுல இருந்து you'll get one type of questions. So you just study this particular part properly. Ultraviolet B நல்லா படிச்ச, slow blindness. Okay, I'm completing now. And this is about the noise pollution, the last part. So noise pollution, right from the decibels you take. So decibels 0 to 100, where you could see the vacuum cleaner at 70 decibel, shouting you could see 80 decibels, where you could see the rock band, jet and all you could see 100 decibels. This is about the noise pollution, where the ozone depletion which can be comes under Dobson units. Done. By this we'll stop with this today's chapter. Maybe I couldn't give time for like the question, the discussions, like that last part I couldn't do it because then I thought of completing, because by this we're completing the complete unit, that is ecology is getting over. We're done with organism and its interaction, biodiversity, then we're done with ecology, and also we're done with environmental issues. So tomorrow maybe the next class will start with the reproduction, that is reproduction in organisms, and then we'll start with the sexual reproduction in flowering plants. That will be the next chapters that we're going to discuss. And this continuations, like if you need of these pictures, like I'll be sending it to your to groups, or if you ask, like I'll send it for you. So thank you guys. So I take additional 2 minutes from you. Like we're done with this chapter. If you have any questions or any doubts, like please do ask me. I try to clarify your doubts then and there. Thank you so much. Today I couldn't interact, I couldn't ask any questions because already I took the time to complete the chapter. I hope you can understand. Okay, take care. Thank you so much, and we'll meet tomorrow with the next chapter, that is new unit, that is reproduction, that will start by tomorrow. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye bye, and keep practicing. We have the next 40 days to go. Keep practicing. Take care.